then I'm going to be on a meeting Thursday with the Attorney General's office to talk about all the various things that are happening coming from Washington, which is nice, and I'm glad they're doing it, but it's just a lot. Two budget briefings, one from the governor's office yesterday and one from the department today, and alternate. I forgot that you're, well, that's a good question. I think they were acting as if it was a done deal. Really, there was no. Okay, are we all here and are we all ready? Yes, we are. Winnie, are we set? Okay. The board met tonight in executive session. We're now ready to start the public portion of our program. We have had a couple of written communications since our last meeting on January 28th. One on February 8th from Cynthia Garcia with regard to protecting our students, particularly transgender students, and upholding New Jersey's law against discrimination. As the school community knows, as the board knows, we send out an email on that subject. We also had a communication on the 24th of February from Greg McDonald about the GRA and the use of their facilities, and the superintendent is following up with that. So that is an ongoing matter. That is written communications. The president's report, there have been two happy things going on at RAS on the 14th, Valentine's Day. We had the gratitude breakfast. And the home and school sent Valentine's baskets to the police, to the library, to Borough Hall, to all the crossing guards. The crossing guards were at the breakfast, so it was lots of fun to see them in from the cold and celebrating and active. The therapy dog was there. He was the star of the show. But it was just a lovely morning to say thank you to all the people who make life possible for all of us. So that was nice. And then on the 6th of February, we had the Lunar New Year celebration, which was a snow day, and but the weather improved, so we were able to have a really festive, somewhat chaotic Lunar New Year celebration that was just wonderful. There were so many families there. There was tons of food, although Ms. Zhang said next year they need more food because there were also teenagers present. But it was a lovely celebration of the Lunar New Year. And finally, today was the governor's budget speech where he outlines his budget proposal for FY26. They are investing a large amount of money in education. The news for us, which was conveyed to us from the department, from the acting commissioner last week, was that there will be cuts, but no district will. Cuts could be up to 3% of your aid, but no more than that, which was good news for many districts that have suffered through a lot of draconian cuts the past 7 years. So we receive our figures, the state aid figures for Glen Ridge and for every other school district on Thursday. So we will then find out what our numbers are, which is the piece of the puzzle that our business administrator, Barbara Murphy, has to put into our budget. And then we will be able to start shaping up our budget. The governor was in good spirits today, knowing that depending on, developments, this proposal could fly with the legislature. The governor proposes, the legislature disposes, and they have until June 30th to do that. Things could change drastically depending on developments from the federal government, et cetera. But this was a budget proposal. It fully funds the formula. It invests additional money in pre-K expansion for districts that don't have pre-K yet. It does invest some money in, they're investing $3 million in cell phone bans, which basically means helping schools buy technology like the cell phone pockets that some schools use. They've made a commitment to science and technology. So there are a lot of different sort of pieces in the total bundle. also for us, in terms of our financial picture, historically, when the state calculates the amount of special education aid that we receive, they use a percentage. They assume that every school district in the state gets has 14.7% children in special ed. Now they're going to stop using that. They're going to use the actual numbers, which may have, for some districts that will help, for some districts not. Our percentage is higher than that. So that may be a good thing for us. So there's some good news there. There's some potential questionable news we'll see on Thursday. And that is the President's report.
Thank you. Okay, good evening, everybody. Excited to share some highlights from across the district, happenings and highlights. But we'll start tonight with Mr. Lawler, who's going to share the details of a special award.
Good evening, everybody. All right, thank you for the time tonight. Prior to the holiday recess, we had our winter sports pep rally, and one of the highlights from that event, when we recognize our winter athletes and coaches and participate in some games, bring the whole school together, was recognizing our coach, Ira Ford, who retired after 40 years in the U.S. military. And, over the course of that time, he served in a variety of different roles, rising to the rank of Command Sergeant Major, and also serving in numerous leadership roles as a non-commissioned officer, including a squad leader, a first sergeant, and a drill instructor. And for those that you know, Coach Ford, for his commitment, his generosity, he's also been a police officer, a college coach, and we're very fortunate to have him here with us. One of my roles as an administrator in this district is to supervise and evaluate teachers and administrators and coaches. And when you kind of distill it all down, one of the things I always look at is is this an individual who I'd like to have my own children have as a coach or a teacher? And I can say that without hesitation. I'd love my kids to have you as a coach, Coach Ford, and all the things that you do for the Glen Ridge students and community and building this great program. And I know you have a special presentation you wanted to present to the district. So I'm going to invite you up now. So please join me in welcoming Coach Ira Ford.
Yeah. Hey, greetings and good evening to Superintendent, President of the Board, board members, faculty, staff, and if social media is out there, township, the residents of Glen Ridge. Hey, it's truly my honor to be here tonight. I've been coaching in Glen Ridge for 17 years now.
It's amazing.
Doing the cross country, winter track, and spring track. And this is my first time at a board meeting.
Wow.
Right? So I truly thank Principal Lawler for that introduction, but this is not about me this evening. The reason I am up here, I just retired past November 5th, 2024, and my last duty station was Camp Humphreys, South Korea. So I was over in Korea with my wife, preparing for my retirement ceremony and my change of responsibility ceremony. And as I was sitting down preparing, and this was around October, at the end of each fiscal year, members of the National Guard, Army Reserve, we can nominate our employers for the Patriot Employer Award, right? And what that is about is we can't do it by ourselves, right? The sacrifices that we make, it's a great sacrifice on our families, of course our employers, but we can't do it by ourselves. And the military wants to recognize employers for the sacrifice that you make for us, right? So I nominated my athletic director, Mr. Rob Hill, for the Patriot Award for 2024. And it was easy, very easy. They fit all the criteria. Mr. Hill, I just want to let you know this, and even the previous athletic director, Mr. Liddy, whenever I went away, they've always checked on me, checked on my family, how are you doing, and making those sacrifices keeping my position. So when I do come back, I have a position to coach our student athletes here, and I love doing that. You probably can't tell how excited I am because we have the spring season getting ready to start right around the corner. Today was probably the warmest day of the year, if I'm not mistaken.
So far.
Right? So we have a lot to look forward to. But again, we can't do it by ourselves. And I say this to our student athletes all the time. Life is a journey. And in life's journey, we're going to have challenges, good, bad. But you know what? We don't have to go through those challenges by ourselves. Use the support that's out there. And the support is here for me to do what I do for you. So without further ado, I'd like to read this to you, the
Please.
Freedom Patriot Award. And this comes from the Office of the Secretary of Defense. The Patriot Employer Award for contribution to national security and protecting liberty and freedom by supporting employee participation in America's National Guard and Reserve Force. I'd like to, with honor, present this award to Mr. Rob Hill.
This was huge. Sorry. This was a huge surprise. I knew that we were honoring Coach Ford that day, which I thought was the surprise. Thank you, everybody. It's a privilege to have Coach Ford here on staff. As he talked about being in this district, we're very lucky. It's a true team effort, this building. It's truly about student athletes. They put the student first, and I'm fortunate that I get to work with so many great people here, from our students, our coaches, our parents, fellow administrators, and staff. And thank you to all of you for doing all the hard work behind the scenes to allow us to do these things. So, Coach Ford, thank you. I'm happy to now have you full-time, which is awesome. So we don't have to keep doing this, which is it's just great seeing what you do with the kids day in and day out. So having you be that constant, steady force with them, I'm looking forward to see that positive impact even more so. But thank you, everybody. I appreciate all of you, and thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hill, and Coach Ford, thank you so much for your service.
Enough space.
Thank you, Coach Ford. Mr. Lawler, congratulations, Rob. Okay, a few more highlights worth sharing. Congratulations. Yeah, okay. Congratulations to the Reckitt Ridgers robotics team, say that 5 times fast, on their performance at the Vex High Stakes at the Coliseum competition on February 22nd at Franklin High School. Competing against 40 teams from across New Jersey, both the high school teams made it to the quarterfinals. The Ridger Rizzlers, Dan Stratton, Oscar Koprinov, and Aaron Foster closed out their season strong. Special recognition to Aaron for his leadership as robotics club president in his final competition. The GRHS robotics team, driven by George Despris and Neville Cantowala, and coached by Aaron Foster, finished in 6th place. A big thank you to the Glen Ridge Educational Foundation for its continued support of the program. The team has made great strides since starting the VEX 3 years ago and looks forward to the challenges next season will bring. At GRHS also, the English department hosted the annual Shakespeare recitation competition, where students performed selections from the Bard. Congratulations to Charlotte Pomeranz and Beatrice Renning, who will advance to the regional competition. Additionally, the GRHS counseling department will host a college admissions panel on February 27th, that's Thursday, led by the executive director of Colleges That Change Lives, an event open to students and parents of all grade levels. At the middle school, students and staff celebrated Kindness Week with poetry and poster contests, a Jersey Day promoting unity, and a school-wide pajama day to encourage kindness. The 8th graders also enjoyed their annual Rainbow Breakfast. Students faced off against teachers in a spirited Family Feud competition. It building excitement for the upcoming middle school Olympics. Academically, middle school students excelled at the History Plunge Championships in Washington, D.C., securing both first and second place. Mark Butko led the 7th grade team to victory over the 8th grade team, captained by James Keefe, while Olivia Hernandez-Concro and Nate McCarthy received sportsmanship awards. At Ridgewood Avenue School, students participated in the 2nd annual Day of Service, continuing their tradition of giving back. The school is also preparing later in the week for its annual spelling bee. At Linden School, students engaged in Kindness Week this week, the 28-day Love Yourself Challenge, and 100th day of school celebrations. The upcoming Science Fair on February 26th will showcase student projects, and Capturing Kids' Hearts initiatives inspired students and staff to identify 100 reasons to love Linden, a testament to the school's strong sense of community. At Central School, Kindness Week featured daily challenges, and students created a kindness heart chain that now surrounds the school's social contract as a visual reminder of their commitment to kindness. The school launched the Rise and Roar campaign, encouraging students to strive for excellence. Students also celebrated the 100th day of school and enjoyed live performances by the New Jersey Symphony Orchestra, thanks to the HSA's support. Finally, in honor of Black History Month, Central students explored the work of Alma Thomas, creating their own art inspired by her pieces. At Forest Avenue School, students explored animal adaptations through hands-on activities as part of the Wild About Wildlife program, also sponsored by the HSA. Forest also celebrated Glow Gathering, which is kindness in action. Faculty and staff focus on capturing kids' hearts theme, Spark the Heart Kindness. Activities included a kindness video, a read aloud on inclusion, and the launch of the Forest Kindness Challenge. Fire Glow cards recognize students for demonstrating exceptional character throughout the month. 100th day of school, kindergartners showed off custom designed t-shirts in a fashion show, while other grades dressed as if they were 100 years old. Mr. Murphy wants everyone to know that he joined in the celebration by dressing as half of 100. Thank you to our administrators, teachers, and support staff, families' dedication to support making these efforts and many others not mentioned tonight possible. Looking ahead at a future meeting, we plan to invite some of the students recognized in tonight's report to be congratulated in person. At our March 11th meeting, something to look forward to, we also will publicly honor our educators and educational support professionals of the year. Additionally, we'll present the tentative instructional and operational budget for board review and adoption, moving us toward the public hearing and final budget adoption on April 29th. My last good news is congratulations to the student representative to the board, Maggie, who shared with me that she was accepted to her first top choice school, Boston College. That concludes my report.
And Maggie's dressed for the occasion in her Boston College sweatshirt.
Unplanned.
Unplanned, really?
I think, I don't know.
Okay. All right. It is now time for the first public comment period for questions or comments on agenda items only. If any of you lovely staff members have questions or comments, this would be the time. The lectern is there. I hear a vast silence. All right, well, if you think of something, you know we have public comment at the end of the meeting as well. All right, board members, going on to committee and liaison reports. It is the first and only meeting of the month, so Maggie, let's start with you.
Mr. Arlington already talked about the robotics team, so I'll move on. Over February break, Ms. Desipris and Ms. Herrera led a trip to Costa Rica with 12 upperclassmen, and it seems like they had a really great time in the warm weather. Playoffs start tomorrow for both the girls and boys basketball team as they play Whippany Park at home. The girls will be at 5 and the boys will be at 7. On Tuesday, next Tuesday, some of the juniors will interview to be selected for next year's peer leadership program. And finally, course requests recently closed for next year's academic schedules. Thank you.
Does anyone have questions for Maggie? Okay, thanks, Maggie. Ray?
We'll report on the Central School Home and School Association. We met on January 23rd. Dr. Harris highlighted several key initiatives, including expanding the Level Up Village program, continuing the Capturing Kids' Hearts initiative with monthly assemblies, and the upcoming Love Your Lunch event, where students will share meals from their cultures. There was also discussion of a therapy dog program that's going to begin soon. They're going to be starting with second grade. They had 2 recent assemblies that were sponsored and funded by the HSA, one with Liberty Science Center, a second with the New Jersey Symphony, that were big hits. Fundraising efforts were discussed with an upcoming art auction, date TBD, and then March is very big for the book fair and readathon.
Okay, thank you. Heather?
Curriculum met last week. We heard more about the district's transition to a multi-tiered system of support. It's kind of a replacing of the IRS system. It involves universal screening to make basically a more consistent and equitable implementation of that system. We also talked about, I guess, the next steps in that process, including support for teachers in the Tier 2, which happens in the classroom, and so that they have the resources they need to support those students. We also briefly talked about grading policies at the high school and felt that consistency among the different courses, and that it would be appropriate to gather more data on that.
Okay, thank you. Anthony?
Yes, personnel and policy meeting was on the 6th of February, and there were 2 major areas of discussion. One was in the human resources, where audit work in the central office was underway, and then there was also a discussion about recruiting through various universities and job fairs. And also some discussion about what the hiring practices for our district is, based on, the pressure that we are having, everyone's having in hiring. The other item was a policy item on how AI impacts education and how to incorporate it into the educational environment, and creating a suitable policy that would address that. And also, there was a review of the cell phone policy, and I think there probably by now has been a discussion with the building administrators on, what they'd like to see in terms of cell phone policy and use. So that's my report.
Okay. Jocelyn? Oh, sorry.
Thanks. So first, just an update on negotiations. We met with GREA following our last board meeting, and we met with them a second time in a smaller group just before the winter break, and we'll be meeting again on March 3rd. So continuing to have those conversations and looking forward to settling the contract moving forward so that it's supportive for all of our great teachers. Ridgewood Avenue School had their home and school meeting way back in January, so I'm just going to give a few highlights that are a little bit closer in time than what happened back then. On the 21st of March is the Ridgewood Avenue School Casino Night, biggest fundraiser of the year, and so the tickets are on sale if anyone is interested. It will be a great night at the country club of all sorts of gambling and good food, I'm sure. They're also beginning to do fundraising and planning for 6th grade promotion, which is as big a deal to the 6th grade families as high school graduation is to the high school families, so be supportive of those causes moving forward. TREPS started. It's an entrepreneur program for students, and there are 3 classes participating. There will be a marketplace on April 2nd when the students will be selling their wares, and as Betsy mentioned, the gratitude breakfast. Oh, and one last thing, Grace also had a meeting on the 7th of February, and they are starting a book club. So if anyone is interested in specifically reading related to, I think currently they're talking about a book around ADHD and another around dyslexia, and would like to have a discussion group around a topic along those lines, please get in touch with our Grace leadership.
Okay, the Glen Ridge Diversity Association did not have the scheduled meeting in January, but they will be meeting again in April. In the meantime, they did sponsor the raffle baskets for the Lunar New Year celebration, and they provided quite sumptuous raffle baskets. We met, as we frequently do, about every 6 weeks. Representatives from the board met with representatives of the Glen Ridge Borough Council, with Mr. Arlington and Borough Administrator Mike Sekeli present. We talked about a number of different subjects. The most interesting was something that had just happened that day, which was the announced closure of the Immaculate Conception Field. We have been apparently taking care of that field for quite some time, so the borough is working on next steps with that field. Nothing is concrete yet, but they're working on it. We also talked about just general issues in terms of our school budget, where we were in the process, the state budget, what we had to look forward to, updates on the Ridgewood Avenue and Bloomfield intersection, and safe routes to schools. We also talked a little bit about one of the borough's major focuses right now, which is stormwater and runoff. Because we've had so many intense storms and so much rain, all of our stormwater runoff goes off into Little Tony's Creek in the Glen, and it cannot handle that much stormwater runoff. So they are exploring new ways of handling that runoff so we don't have flooding in low spots in town. And so they're contemplating some rain gardens, installing a large cistern to hold surplus rainwater, but it's a big concern adapting the town to the exigencies of climate change. So we were updated on that. And also given a little update on the status of George Washington Field and the ongoing conversations with Montclair, which are happening but have not come to any kind of fruition yet. So that is the meeting with the borough. And now, moving down, way down the row to Tricia.
Let me just ask a quick question before I go into middle school, high school. What are the conversations about George Washington Field?
There's, multiple. It's almost time to replace the surface,
Okay.
George Washington Field, and so there's a question of, who is going to provide the money for that? And of course, ongoing questions about, the time limits on usage of it, because we split it with Montclair.
Okay, thank you. Middle school, high school, HSA met back in January 28th. So a lot of these things are dated. So I'm just going to highlight some of the things that are upcoming, which I think Kyle already mentioned. Colleges that saves lives. That presentation is happening this week, February, this Thursday, I think. Was that the 28th at Ridgewood Avenue School? And Arts and Eco Fair, May 17th. The rain date is May 18th. And lastly, everything else has pretty much happened within the last month. So lastly, the middle school, high school HSA meeting that was scheduled for this Friday has been canceled. The next meeting will be March 25th. And also, they are currently and actively looking for leadership positions for the next school year, 25-26 school year. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Kristen?
So like the other schools, the Linden Avenue School report is abbreviated because so many things happened in the past. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to attend their last meeting, but I do have some highlights to share of events that are coming up. Kyle already mentioned the science fair, which is happening tomorrow night in the multi-purpose room. One thing that I think was really cool is that they're doing tiered family visits, so it's not like one big free-for-all like we had back in the day. So they have families who are participating, are visiting from 6 to 7, and then non-scientist families, if your last name is A through M, you're from 6 to 6:30, and last name N through Z is 6:30 to 7. So I think that'll lead to a much nicer environment so that everybody can really focus on the young students' work. Their March HSA meeting is happening next Wednesday, March 5th at 7 p.m. And then the following day is Author Day with Brian Yanish. I may be mispronouncing his name, but Brian is the creator of the Shark and Bot series, which inspires young readers to think like makers by transforming everyday materials into creative projects. He will give a special presentation, host a Q&A, and sign books for the students, which is pretty cool. And then 20% of the proceeds will benefit the Linden Home and School Association. And then also coming up in March, they have Spring Discovery Program registration, the book fair, like the other lower elementary schools, return of readathon similarly, and then also, like the other HSA's nominations, they're actively recruiting for the HSA positions for the next school year. So that's Linden. And then for Gaslamp, things are running smoothly. They opened their summer camp registration on February 8th, and we're full within 3 minutes for the junior session. That's rising 1st through 8th grades. Currently, the kids' workshop, which is Aristocats, is rehearsing at the high school on Fridays in preparation for their show on April 26th at Ridgewood. This program is also immensely popular and is open for students in 1st through 4th grades. It's hard to believe, but they are already in discussions about fall programming, and Gaslamp wanted me to pass along their continued thanks and mention that they remain extremely grateful for the GR schools for their support in their programs.
Thank you. Duval?
Okay, great, thank you. Give a quick update for the Communications Committee. We met just before break on February 10th, and we discussed ongoing and upcoming initiatives aimed at strengthening district-wide communication and engagement. We talked a little bit about norms and goals, and we'll be reviewing those and working on those over the next few months. We talked a little bit about our superintendent's new communications that are fresh to the district, such as 5 things to look forward to, our 3 Cheers newsletter, which was a really creative way to showcase what's happening in little spots, little nuggets of information in the district. We also talked about some other possible or some upcoming communications around cell phones, around the Q&A that's coming up with our on digital wellness, and just evaluating kind of what's starting to work, what kind of feedback we're hearing. But generally, it's been very positive, certainly from what I'm hearing. We'll revisit our Coffee and Conversations initiatives. We'll have some dates coming out on those soon, but we're really looking to make sure that for those conversations we are keying into issues like the budget, for example, or and also working to foster more of that informal dialogue with our fellow families. We talked a little bit about our presentations at the Board of Ed, and I see tonight that there looks to be a new format for our PowerPoints, which is exciting, but just generally refreshing a lot of all of our communication vehicles. And also taking the opportunity to always celebrate the student and staff achievements whenever we possibly can. So more for, that's that for that. My other updates will be quite short. Forest Avenue's Home and School has so much going on, and I had a laundry list, which I left in the car with my phone, so I can't remember it all. There is just too much going on. But I will tell you that the next meeting is March 11th, which is actually the same date as this meeting, but they're having it in the afternoon. So I will come fully armed with lots of information to tell you all about Forest Avenue's Home and School. And then also with the Educational Foundation, we are meeting tomorrow. So it's been a bit quiet this winter with the Educational Foundation, at least quiet behind the scenes. So I will also have more to update in March. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, board members, in your packets, or actually this afternoon you received minutes from the meeting of January 28th. Exec session and regular session. Does anyone have any changes to those minutes? I think it is a tribute to Mrs. Murphy's excellent minutes. That being the case, may I have a motion? Jocelyn, would you move the minutes?
I move item M1.
Okay, may I have a second?
Second.
Second from, was it Anthony? Okay, Barbara, would you call the roll?
Ms. Akinwande?
Aye.
Mr. Bonnet?
Aye.
Mr. DeLorenzi? Ms. Gottlieb?
Yes.
Ms. Graham?
Aye.
Ms. O'Neill?
Yes.
Dr. Yaros Ramos?
Aye.
Ms. Ginsburg?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, Kristen, would you move the administrative items?
Yes, I move A1 and A2.
All right, may I have a second?
Second?
Second from Jocelyn. Any questions on the two administrative items? All right, that being the case, Barbara, would you call the roll, please?
Ms. Akinwande?
Aye.
Mr. Bonnet?
Aye.
Mr. DeLorenzi? Ms. Gottlieb?
Aye.
Ms. Graham?
Aye.
Ms. O'Neill?
Yes.
Dr. Yaros Ramos?
Aye.
Ms. Ginsburg?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Anthony, would you move the personnel items?
I move P1 through P8 in the main packet and P2, P1, P2, and P9 from the addendum.
Okay, may I have a second? Second from Ray. And in keeping with our rules and the board members' code of ethics, personnel-related matters are discussed in executive session. So Barbara, would you call the roll?
Ms. Akinwande?
Aye.
Mr. Bonnet?
Aye.
Mr. DeLorenzi? Ms. Gottlieb? Ms. Graham?
Aye.
Ms. O'Neill?
Yes.
Dr. Yaros Ramos?
Aye.
Ms. Ginsburg?
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right, Heather, would you move the curriculum items?
Sure, I'll move C1.
All right, may I have a second?
Second.
Second from Tricia. Any questions on all these lovely field trips? All right, if there are no questions, Barbara, would you call the roll?
Ms. Akinwande?
Aye.
Mr. Bonnet?
Aye.
Mr. DeLorenzi? Ms. Gottlieb?
Yes.
Ms. Graham?
Yes.
Ms. O'Neill?
Yes.
Dr. Yaros Ramos?
Aye.
Ms. Ginsburg?
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right, before we move the business items, I want to draw your attention to B4 on both the regular agenda and the addendum. Glen Ridge High School donated made a